A fan networking podcast promotes successful business experts throughout the world. I'm Tom Rioch, known as the King of Networking, connecting people from my podcast studio in Brazil. And today we talk with Derek Gorthy. He's joining us from Seattle, Washington. Derek Gorthy, a serial entrepreneur, founding companies since the age of 15, e-commerce, affiliate marketing, and Web3 companies. He's co-founder and business advisor at Enshrine, a Web3 community engagement platform that empowers creators to build unique experiences for their fans, backed by blockchain technology. So Derek, I'm going to be 75 years old. How do you explain Web3 to me?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Tom. So Web3 is an iteration of the internet that is marked by an internet where users can create and then own their own content, which I guess the history of the internet in 30 seconds version. You start with Web 1, which is your AOL, right? You log on, you read something. That's pretty much it. Mm-hmm. Web 2 came around right around when social media came on the scene. So essentially you are reading content, but you're also now posting content. You're writing content. The variation of this internet, Web 3, is where you can read, you can write your own content, but now you own your own content. Mm-hmm. And you might say, well, on social media, I own my own content, right? I mean, you post it, but do you own it? Is it possible for a social media company to come in and take down whatever content you post? The answer is usually yes. And so in this new internet, not only can you create that content, but it is written somewhere where no individual entity like a YouTube, like a Facebook, could come in and delete it, right? It's written to a decentralized network of computers, mm-hmm. and no individual person has complete say over that except for the person that owns it.
Oh, and so well, to that point, that it is something that I can just pick up and take with me on the web wherever I go.
Exactly. So in a way that if you were, say, prolific on Twitter, for you to take that following and go to another social media platform, you might be able to do it. You might have some percentage of your followers come with you. Mm-hmm. You'd have to recreate all of your content on a new platform. But it's difficult, right? Like there is some friction there and you're likely to lose some stuff along the way. In Web3, it is completely just lift and shift, right? The content remains the same. The platform is pretty much interchangeable.
And it's mine.
And it's yours, exactly.
Yeah, because I see that, and we even hear that today. If you're talking about either Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, principally, which are the big, and now TikTok. Mm-hmm. And as a person who posts, I post there. But I agree with you. I don't feel I own anything because they sort of let me or tell me how to show it or how much I have to pay even for it to be shown.
Right.
So
exactly.
if I have to pay to do that, it's not mine.
Exactly. It's not yours. And sometimes they will say like, no, you own your content, but for legal reasons, they have to say that, right? They don't want to be liable for what you mm-hmm. post. But at the end of the day, they control where that is shown, how it's shown, whether or not it's shown.
And I think that's a great advantage today when you're talking about the Web3 then, because I'm from the time when many of these first social media things have died and gone away. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to say that Instagram or Facebook are going to go away, but who knows?
Sure.
So we need to be somewhere that really we can, like you said, it's pack and go.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not night and day, like one day they're going to be running, one day they won't. Likely these large companies will change, but it is going to be a different way that they'll be doing business, right? They won't be able to play by the rules that they are making all of the time now. They're going to have to abide by, right? If users own their own content, they have a lot less control than they currently do today.
Mm-hmm. So now in this new Enshrine, if I were to go on, so that would help me understand everything that you've just said, and then help me create or take what I have created and then put it somewhere that's mine?
Yeah, exactly. We are focused on the problem of how content creators monetize or create monetary relationships with their community. So essentially, we allow content creators to create what we're calling community tokens that are accompanied by specific perks to that community. So that might be limited access to the creator, access to private content, things like that.
Okay, so in my case, let's talk about podcasting. I'm a podcast
Sure.
host, so I can do that. I can put that there. And if somebody wants to get up and wherever that morning is, and they would have a token, and they would have sort of like a direct link to me.
If that's how you want to structure it, let's say that you had a private set of videos that is your how to start podcasting 101 course. You could sell, let's say, 100 tokens. Whoever owns that token is now granted access to that set of content. How that currently exists today is usually like a subscription-based model. Like if you're on Patreon, I pay $5 a month or something, and now I have access to that.
Right.
The problem is, once I buy it, that's kind of it, right? It's not really something that I own. I own the access to that for a certain period of time, and then it goes away. In this world, I buy access into this, and now I own something that controls access. So it is something that you can use it, you can resell it. There's a whole economy behind. Instead of a subscription, it's now essentially like an economy behind the creator.
Right. So that becomes an asset.
Sure. We want to use that term loosely to make sure that we don't legally get qualified as a company selling securities. But yeah, exactly.
No, in the more loose sense of asset, something that you have.
Yeah, exactly. It's something of value.
Selling bonds or anything else. Something. If I have something and resell it to you, or part of it, right? Because actually, what we were doing, I'm going to sell part of what I have, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's something of value. That's broadly it. And it might be a little value. It might just be purely, here is this token of, let's say, some funny picture that this creator posted, and it doesn't really give me anything. That might have sentimental value, or it might have actual value, right? Access to content that is useful to me and other people. You can put a dollar amount on that typically.
Well, and I would say the future, but someday, talking to venture capital type companies, I could sell the whole thing.
Sure. If governments were not involved in the sale of, companies, you could in theory do that. I mean, that's how a couple of years ago, a lot of companies were launching in this space by issuing their own currency, essentially, right? And that had to be regulated, and it has been more regulated as the years went on. But 3 years ago, it was the Wild West with that. Companies just selling, here's 1 million tokens that represents, the value in our company, and just go buy it. And it was released to the public, and the price fluctuated, as you'd imagine, a great deal. But
I'm a believer that I am anyway, that we'll still see the day that somebody will plant something on the moon or Mars or somewhere and really create something completely different. And way out there,
sure,
for you to have access. And then we're back, and I want to say we're back to the Wild West, but we're back to the basics.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of just new territories, new planetary territories.
Sure. And really, like, it's interesting if you tie it back into Web3, like the idea of you owning your own content, right, where content is distributable and open is not new. Like, that's what social media companies were supposed to be, and early on they were, and then as time went on, they got more and more. The term that we typically use is like a walled garden, right? That's something that people are familiar with. Like, it used to be open, and then they try and do more and more to keep you on their platform, right? They make it harder for you to leave or distribute content.
Well, I believe that. I lived through that, and I see that, because I'd always thought that my content was mine, but I've learned exactly what you said. No, I'm working for the others. Yeah,
exactly. You are producing content for them to sell people ads. Like, that is the business model.
Well, anyway, Derek, you've been enlightening, and you've not only shown me the future, you're showing me the present.
Yeah.
This isn't something that's going to happen. So Web3 is happening, or it happened. And if I want to get on the bus or the trolley, I got to do it now.
Definitely, if you want to be early on, right?
Very good, Derek. So how can our listeners find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find us on enshrine.io. That would be the best place to look. We have a great blog with resources there if you're curious, and a contact page, as well as a link to our Discord. Very
good. And again, that's Derek Gorthy. It's Derek, the last name Gorthy. So Derek Gorthy, you'll find him on LinkedIn, and you'll find him at Enshrine, ENSHRINE.io. Thanks again, Derek.
Perfect. Thank you, Tom.
Cafe Networking is brought to us by Focus MI Market Intelligence, an agricultural market research specialist in Brazil. More information at focusmi.com. Thanks for listening until the next time here at Cafe and Networking Podcast.